Hello, I am here with Jett Kaufman, aka me, winner of the season one, round one. I don't know how they call it. The first part of the year, final round local championship. I played Godzilla Titan of Terror, or they played Godzilla Titan of Terror. The joke here is that I want to interview LC winners, and I won, so it's kind of awkward. So I'm going to be interviewing myself. Um, I'll start by saying if you want an LC and you would like to do a video somewhat similar to this with me, please DM me on Discord at JettJaguar, Jett. Um, so I'm not gonna use the. I was gonna do a whole bit where I like actually interviewed myself, and then I'm kind of tired because I just drove home from Jacksonville. Uh, because I drove up there, and then we all drove up to South Carolina. Um, so I'm a little feeling a little lazy. I don't want to put in a lot of effort for this. Um, so I'm just gonna start. I played Titan of Terror. Um, I really wanted to get my invite as soon as possible so that I could not worry about having to like sweat at regionals as much. I can play stuff that I'm more interested in. I've got some decks that are percolating in the background. Um and so I decided to just play this deck because it is very good, and I wanted to win. And I did. Look at that. Um this list is 68 cards. And if you've seen my Rodan video, you might be like, "Oh God, I don't know if I can stand here for 2 hours listening to somebody talk about Godzilla Titan of Terror." It won't be that long, I don't think, because this deck there's a lot less to say about it. This deck is not cool. It's kind of ridiculous. So I'm just gonna get into it. I'm gonna do card by card like I did. So first of all, this character is not fair. Just once per turn, play a card for free is ridiculous, and it's any card that you want. It's not any card that you want, but it's basically any card that you want. In addition to playing a string and then playing a move for free, there's so much more that this gets you. Turn one, going second, if you check or review a Genghis Frog or a Manipulations of Zeke Yeager, you are just massively ahead. It's ridiculous. You are so far ahead. Um, it is insane. It's not so insane that you're like, oh yeah, I want to be blinding second because going first is still broken. But it's like I don't know if I want this aggro deck to be that good going second, Like there was a game where I played where I started a turn. I went second that game, so I got to build into Zeke's for free. And I started a turn with one attack in hand, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just go for it. And I think I had like one card in my stage that drew a card, and then I also had a Zeke's. And by the end of the turn, I had like 9 cards in my hand, and I had played like 5 attacks. It is ridiculous what this deck can get away with. Um, and sometimes some games you just kind of sit with like 5 or so power tokens before you win. There are games where there was a game where I sent like a 15 low for 28 crushing impact. It's a little ridiculous. So let's get in the card by card. Zeros. Oh, come on. Zeros suck now. Um, I'm not playing Dumbfounded, which is a good one, but I wanted good block coverage. I think people looked. My take is that people looked at this character and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is an first and foremost." People looked at this character and they're like, "Oh my god, you city rampage every turn. Oh jeez, this is ridiculous." You don't do that. Don't put that card in this deck. It's not good. It's just not good. If there's some sort of errata that happens, obviously we want to relook at it. But uh, and notably, you look at my attack lineup and like, well, you can just cut those battle or releases surely, right? Well, no, because that's we're playing all the good ones already. Um, and and so I went into this guy and I'm like, my take going into this event was this is a mid-range deck that sometimes just blows you out on turn 2 because you get to play a free attack and you get these attacks that sort of like cheated the game a little bit between Destructive Heat Ray and Queen of the Monsters and Hunter's Ally 2 and then Shin Hashogeki and Haymaker also just like you have a lot of strong interaction and ways to like really smooth out your turn. Um, so I wanted to make sure that even when I was going second, I could still get there because sometimes you don't win on turn 2. So you have to win on turn 3. Um, so I wanted a good block zone coverage. If we look at my list, I'm at 20, 25, and 22. Um, if I would want to change this just a little. I would want to maybe cut one low guard for one tough skin, assuming I change no other cards, which I did change other cards. But assuming I change no other cards, I would at least want to do that. Because the mirror sometimes, and well, when I get into my matches, we will see that sometimes they just play like a bunch of high moves and you get really sad because they're all for a bunch of damage. Um, we're playing two hunters allies, so I've got I think 8 targets. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'm playing 8 targets, which I felt was enough. There were occasionally times where I had a hunter's ally in my hand at the start of the turn, and I'm like, oh well, there's nothing in there. But I play an attack and then I play another one in between. Zeke's the backside of Attack Titan's Haymaker, and sometimes you want to flip a Radiant Visage. You normally get there. I never I had turns where I started with Hunter's Ally and I didn't have something to build, but I never played Hunter's Ally without something to build, I don't think. This is just one of the good ones. It did actually matter in my finals match. At least I think it did. Um, I wouldn't play more than one because it is unique and it's a 4 mid block. But when you draw it, it's good. And when you build it in for free, it's pretty nice. 3 copies of Radiant Visage. I was really worried about King of the Monsters. I think that deck is C-Razy. I think that deck is B-Roken. Both Earth and Zach Richards showed me the light on Chaos. Uh, were are just so still such a strong aggressive force, and being able to have this as an answer to what they're doing is very nice. But this card in this deck kind of fits in the same slot that it did in like the old pre-heist Devil Jin, and even honestly in the heist Devil Jin as well, where it's like, yeah, it is good momentum hate, but sometimes you're just flipping it to mill 3. Like this guy wants stuff in his discard pile just on face, and then also with Hunter's Ally and such. So sometimes you just flipping it to mill 3. I did that once or twice. Um, Conversely, a card that has no other modes and is just broken is Guardian Angel of Chinatown. Originally, I was on 2 main, 2 side. My sideboard was adjusted for this event, and don't look at it; it's ugly. Um, and this was and so I went to 3 main board just for just because it's an effect that you absolutely want. I think, especially early in this format, I kind of clocked that a lot of people were going to be playing this deck with like juries, and like I'm playing for natural cover, which is another DR move. I was worried about the Biolantes of the world and other decks that are using their deflect 4s to try and like cheese you out of a game. Um, this card, Wub put it best when he said this is a Libra ass 1 diff. This card is ridiculous. I can't believe it says what it says and has the numbers on it that it does. It's insane. Um, I have an updated version of the deck that is on the next tab here that we'll go over. That I think I don't remember what I did to it because I did it on the drive home from or the drive from South Carolina back to Jacksonville, and it was very late. But I think the 4th one's in the sideboard now. We're gonna come back to this next card, uh, in a second because I think it's the pretty much the only one worth talking about. 2 copies of Armorclad Faith. I just wanted more defensive stuff, and this is like the way to do it. I don't. I mean, part of this is that, and we'll get into this when we talk about the sideboard. But I will say right now, I was told by I believe it was Zach of Final Round or someone that there would be a lot of debuild gamers at the event, And I was like, oh, well, this removes stun off Earthbreaker. And so if I don't want to block this low move, I can just say, well, no stun, and I'm fine. Um, in addition, it's also just good. Sometimes your opponent is going to be like, hey, here's a Haymaker, it's got stun too. Hey, here's a Growing Grasp, it's for 40 billion. And say, that doesn't have stun, that doesn't have throw. This card is just really good. Also, Nagori Yuki didn't show up this weekend. Oh man, that deck is still crazy. If you have not played against like a version of that deck post rotation and post Godzilla, that deck is still insane. And getting rid of Echo or Tension is very big against that deck. 2 copies of Analytical Observation. This is another just it's one of the good ones. You're playing against like enemy Shobijins or any block tricks in general. Like Reversal Uppercut is a big one. There's just a lot of stuff that this card hits, and it's just good. I suppose I'll talk about this now. I wanted to have like a good chunk of spam. I really think this deck shines the best when it can get a consistent build. And so, some people might be like, well, you can cut these 1 diffs for stuff like Weapon Clash or other 2 diffs, 2 to 2 plus diffs that are maybe better in air quotes. But I did like having a ton of 1 diffs. There were times where I built and I was like, here's my hand, 1 2 3 4. And that's fine though, because these cards are broken. A card that I started out at 4 of, and I've steadily gone down on to make room for the more like techie pieces, is this guy Biolante arrives. Just E-flip, get a power token. The static on it is it comes up sometimes when you're playing against like Biolante, and they've put a bunch of face downs in your card pool, and you just go, aha, I block on no progressive. They play like I can't think of a card, but they play like a high move or a mid move that's like, or like a loop the loop that's like, well, here's this move that's going to kill you, and it's like, well, now I can full block this when you weren't expecting, or I can partial it. You don't need more power tokens that bad. Every once in a while, you do want more power tokens, and that's why I think the 2 of slot is probably good here. But if you wanted to cut this for the 4th Chinatown, the 4th Visage, or the 4th Armor Clad, or maybe a different block zone card, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. I would get that. 4 copies of Defiant Roar. This card says E-flip, draw a card, and it has next to no cost. The amount of games I've won where it was like, oh, I needed literally every power token, it has happened. It certainly has happened, but it is not frequent enough to be like, oh yeah, this card has like a real cost. Especially when a lot of the times the way the deck plays is that you're you do turn 2 people sometimes, but a lot of games is like, here's my turn 2. I play a Heat Ray from my hand, and I play a Heat Ray from my graveyard, and I amass a ludicrous amount of power tokens, and I build a bunch, and I've got these Defiant Roars and stuff to be able to still present a competent defense. I think the name of the game for me in general when building this deck was, I don't want to have a fraudulent defense. I want to be able to I obviously I'm playing a 6-hander with no defense on face, and I'm still playing an aggressive slanted deck. I can't block everything like I did when I played Rodan, but I do still want to be able to block stuff. And that's where what may be the secret all-star and why this is the Motherfunka remix. 4 copies of this 2 low block Funky Breath. This card has a bit of a history. One of the people on my team CWC was like, man, I would love just some, or I think they said like, would you maybe want to have just some spam speed hate? And I was thinking, and I was like, I vaguely remember this card from Turtles that's like E-commit -2 speed. That's like a 2 low block. And so I typed in, into UVS Ultra, I just typed in speed in the text box in difficulty 1, and I was like, aha, E-commit -2 speed, and it's got some cool text on it. And that's how I played the card. Don't read the card, you'll spoil the joke. That's how I played the card for it didn't. I guess we'll spoil the joke. It does not commit, it flips. Which honestly, it honestly is better that it flips. But and that's how I played it in all of my testing games. And I remember I used it in my round 1, and I used it, and I think that actually might have been it. And of course, this is a random Turtles card. So when I say, "Oh, I'll use Funky Breath," everybody's like, "What in God's name are you talking about?" And then I say, "Oh, it commits for -2 speed, and if I fail block, you tap one." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And they just, yeah, okay, dude, sure, random turtles card. And I learned in my top 4 game, I don't remember if I read it or my opponent read it. And they were like, "Hey, this says flip." I think I read it, and I was like, "Oh, this says flip. It does not commit." And I was like, "Huh, that's just raw better in my aggressive deck is E flip -2 speed." Um, I truly don't know what low block I would want over this in my spam slot. If you had a 2 diff low block that you were like, "Ah, yes, I want this." It maybe if there's a 1 diff ally card that has a low block, I would be down to put 1 copy in over the 4th one of this, but I was perfectly happy with 4 copies. Being able to, like, I think a lot of aggressive decks right now, when you're looking at Titan of Terror and you're looking at King of the Monsters and you're looking at like Bridget, Nagoriyuki's kind of a separate thing, but I think those are the big aggro decks that I'm thinking of right now. And a lot of these decks are like, here's my like solid rate stats moves, and I'm playing a lot of them so that if you block the first one or two, you're almost certainly just not going to be able to block the next ones unless you're like Rodan or someone that is consistently giving a large amount of minus speed. Um, and being able to cheat in blocking an extra move did feel like it mattered. This was I can't say it's the best card of my deck because that's a goddamn lie. It's got the turtle set symbol that just can't be true. But it was great. I would highly recommend trying it out if you're looking at this and you're like, why in God's name would I play this over like Capture the Target or something? I would highly recommend checking this out. I would give it a couple tries. Um, I was playing Weapon Clash in this spot before, and I also was not playing Hunter's Ally. And I think there came a time where I was adjusting my block zones and I'm like, huh, this Warden's Protection card is pretty solid. It basically has a giant magnet on it for destructive heat ray. And the fact that it's a 3 diff, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna try Warden's Protection. And then I was like, well, I'm already playing enough allies. I should probably just try out Hunter's Ally. And so I swapped out Weapon Clash for this card because originally I was like, I don't really know how much the discard one draw one comes up. And this won me or got me an advantage in innumerable amount of games. It is so good. It is like just de facto, like if I want to build in an ally card, it's like, oh yeah, if I'm not getting a frog or something, like this is I'm so happy to have this card on my stage every time it's there. Just the once per turn, you're basically your character is already basically a 7-hander. This basically makes you an 8-hander, right? Like it's so good. It's very good. It's very good. I did not expect to gush about Tustu Screw as much as I did, but it is very good. Like being able to have like if you look, I've got a bunch of one-ofs that are kind of like, I will form this in at the end of my string. Being able to have that stuck in your hand and to pitch it so that you don't have to check for it or you don't have to play it early or whatever is it's great. It's great. Nothing to say about this card. It's broken, and you should have at least 1 copy in every deck that you build, I think. It's one of the broken ones. Now, this card is also one of the broken ones. Between Chinatown and Destructive Heat Ray, I think I maybe used it once, just because it kept getting like I played against the second top 4 with the Corona beams that sealed it. Destructive Heat Ray in Titan of Terror, they respond, and then the Blitz just flips a 2 diff. This just is almost certainly the first one to go. But it's I think of right now between Destructive Heat Ray and there's a lot of like targeted stage interaction. We're kind of in the world of like pretty much everyone is like, well, stage answers are kind of dead. We've got this like dice to Doomblade thing going on where it's like, oh my god, it's like my response it dies to Doomblade. They have what if they have Guardian Angel of Chinatown? What if they have natural cover? It's like, well, yeah, or not natural cover. Or what if they have Descriptive Heat Ray? It's like, well, yeah, that's true. They may have that, or you pair into someone that isn't playing those cards. You don't play against a black deck, and they don't have Doomblade in their deck. And this is it's nice. The deadlock text is relevant. If they go into deadlock, you're just getting so many tokens so fast. I don't think I used the deadlock enhance this weekend at all, but it did. It if nothing else, it scares people. It's a too low block. Too low is like good, especially when people are playing their destructive heat rays and their crushing impacts, and you want to be able to have your low blocks for this stuff. 2 copies of History's Greatest Monster. I think that if you said, "Well, I don't like the other three discs you're playing, and I want to play 4 copies of this," I would be like, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense." Uh, uh, I used to be on Capture the Target, and I used to be on 3 of these, and I cut those out to like I was talking about earlier, not have as fraudulent of a defense. But there were games where if I checked a 3 instead of a 5 one time, I definitely would not have been able to do the war crimes that I did, and having more of these would obviously offset that. Um, and the deadlock enhance is crazy, having to not, instead of getting growing grasp, get like a huge move, like this card that's not going to be in my deck after this edition of a channel energy. Giving that card throw sounds insane. I did not get to do it, but it does sound really funny. It's just, it's just 2 foundations, and then you block on their turn with a move. You can get another token if your character's ready, and you ready this. It's a lot of foundations in a turn cycle. 1 copy of Sacrifice for the Cause. This is basically a sack speed Chinatown that also has the incidental thing of sometimes you just need more damage, or you want to make like there are games where you get them down to like 11, and if you're playing around stuff like Natural Cover and Jury, you don't want to necessarily blow your load of power tokens all at once. So getting to, on your kill turns, discard these cards that aren't useful and use them for this instead is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I did use both parts. I did use every single part of this buffalo this weekend. Uh and I think if you said I want to cut this for the fourth Chinatown or another History's Greatest, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. This is like, I would not be offended by that. There are some cards where you're like, if I wanted to cut this, I would be like, I don't know, dude. This is a pretty broken card. But this is not one of them. This is like, I think I will be keeping it going forward because I like the utility on it. But like I said, if you said you wanted to cut it, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. A card that I would think you would be absolutely insane for cutting, especially if you're playing Hunter's Alley, is this card. Um, Response once per turn, cancel their heat ray. This, like I said, it has just a giant magnet on it that says they have to heat ray this first. And most of the time, their first heat ray can't even get this. So it means that their first heat ray doesn't, it just gets them power tokens and doesn't flip something. And, every once in a while, you'll have a face down card that you want to unflip that's not the thing they flipped, and it's really cool. Additionally, the enhance did like come up. The enhance is like not flavor text. It is, if I have that Sacrifice for the Cause in my hand, or I want to build in a Chinatown, it's like, yeah, dude, I don't want to spend my momentum on Queen of the Monsters. I can just use it on this. I get to, you sack a committed face down and you build it in ready, and it's like you're looking at basically the same deal, but then you also get you get that utility. This is one of the good ones. Yeah. Next 3 diff is one of my favorite cards in Standard right now, I think, Concern for Rocksteady. Those of you who played during MHA may be like, damn, how far Rescue Completed has fallen. And that's true, but it's still, like, good. This also was something I used to not die to Godzilla and Bridget. -2 speed. Turning your offensive tech pieces into E-commit -2 speed is awesome. And then this deck, it doesn't take momentum very often because it doesn't use it very well. But sometimes they just like partial block 2 battle auras. You're sitting there with 2 momentum, and you're like, well, Queen of the Monsters, I want to use that to string more. So this just being able to, for every momentum you spend, it's another foundation, is very relevant. Um, and then the last foundation is Manipulations with Zeke Yeager. If you look at the attack package and you're like me and you know the keywords on like all the cards, you'll be like, well, there's quite a few non-range cards in here. And that's true. That's why I'm not like in on the full 4 copies. But and notably, it was very rare that I built this when I wasn't going second turn 1, which is why I went from, originally I was maining 3 for a while and I cut it down to 2. But when you get it on your board, it is broken. It is one of the broken ones. I played a mirror match in round 2 where I was sitting there and he had his manipulations, and I'm like, damn, all right, I gotta vomit a bunch of power tokens so I can heat ray flip that, which did happen, by the way. Heat ray is a fair card. But it's just the deadlock form. I did not use it, but I imagine, just form pickup heat ray is pretty crazy. And then being able to like attempt to draw a card on every single enhanced step is just like, if you played with Devil Jin, or like there were some Ymir builds that played this card, you know this card is broken, and I don't need to explain to you that this card is broken. But it is just uniquely crazy in this character because you get to build it for free going second turn one. And onto the attacks. Originally, I was on like 8 four diffs. I was on like some combination of battle or release, and then my other thoughts were shoulder toss and electric moth. And I kind of realized that those cards don't kill people. I really liked having them in my deck, but I was just having trouble counting to 34. And I was like, I don't know. So the only four decks we're playing are this card is a range card, which is awesome. Uh, Battle Oral Release. It is just a 4 high 8 that draws a card. This card has been insane since it came out, and you do overload people on highs pretty easily. This deck can kind of like incidentally zone overload people. It's not really trying to do it, but there were multiple games where I played like I started my turn by going Battle Aura, Queen of the Monsters, build it down, and they like blocked the first one and then didn't block, and I'm like, huh. So I'll play like another high move, and they don't block it. And I'm like, I see. Instead of getting this Heat Ray out of my discard pile, what if we got this Hunter's Ally that doesn't even build anything, and we just killed them because it's a high move. You can absolutely zone check people in this character, and this is pretty much the way that happens. 3 copies of Attack Titan's Haymaker, which I would say is the correct number to play. The stun 2 is very nice. The blitz is, it's a Haymaker. But the backside of this, the games I played where it was like, my defense isn't fraudulent in quotes, but it's still pretty bad. So there were games where I'd be like, I have to take these moves on the chin and hope they don't kill me. And I'd go down to like 8 HP. Well, now I get an extra free 2 damage in all my moves, and I can look for my good ones. Also, there are plenty of games where I will just play this move and be like, and like being able to just get a foundation in our deck that doesn't care about momentum is just really nice. Shifting this down and being able to hold another block is super good. I'm on 2 copies of Hunter's Ally. Like I said, I tried this when I first played the deck. I think I maybe was on 4, and I was like, wow, that is. There are so many times where this card isn't doing anything, and I think I was only in like 2 Tustus Crew. I was maybe on the Shobijins, was on 1 Frog, 1 Cami, wasn't on Warden's Protection, and I'm like, wow, I never have any targets for this card. So I cut it, and I cut it for a while, and then, like I said, I was playing Warden's Protection, and I was like, well, I'm gonna try it again. And I tried it again, and I played some more targets so that I could actually, use the blitz. And wow, Hunter's Ally is broken. Did you guys know that Hunter's Ally is a broken card? Wow. Uh, Being able to, if you're going first and you check the frog, your opponent just has to sit there and be like, oh boy, sure hope they don't draw Hunter's Ally. Because, like, the difference between a 3 damage Heat Ray and a 6 damage Heat Ray is so much. It is so much. It is... Genghis Frog is a crazy card. And then also getting to play Cammy and just like more stage terrorism, and you're kind of playing all your moves at printed speed, so giving that 1-2 more speed can be really nice. Hunter's Ally is a broken card, and people don't need me to tell them that Hunter's Ally is a broken card. I'm only playing 1 Shin Hashogeki, and I think I played this once all day as a 6 mid 4 that I did not press any buttons on. The games where it comes up, it will, from testing, the games where it comes up will absolutely win you games where you form this in and you've got like you've gone to turn 4 because you're playing its defensive deck and they've got like 9 ready foundations. They're like, I'm ready to block all your moves. And you form this in and their whole stage is sideways and you kill them with your printed damage moves. It is good as a one of, but there were enough times where I was like, I don't even care about having this, that I definitely would not play the second copy. This card is coming out of my deck. Someone, I believe it was Justin Birch, was talking about this card and this character, and I was like, huh. Originally, I was like, I don't really think that's any better than Growing Grasp. And then he was like, well, sometimes you want to be able to punish the King of the Monsters, or really any 6+ hander, or 6 or 5 hander that builds their whole hand and says you can't count to my health total. And this is a great way to do that because you go like move, and they go down to like maybe if you go like move, and they go down to like 18 HP. And then you play foundation, form this from your discard pile. it's for their life total, and if they have no cards in hand, they just die. Um, in practice, I don't think this was ever better than Growing Grasp. This deck counts to 34 just fine. Like this deck will find the damage even without Genghis Frog, even without like multiple heat rays. This you can get there. You absolutely can get there. Maybe not on turn 2, but I just between it being a 3 high block and I played it more as a 5 high 5 vanilla than I did as a 5 high for 13 or whatever with the blitz. It's not a ranged move. It's a turtles card. That's about all that you really need to say about it. So I ended up I would cut this card. Card I would want to instead go to 4 copies of is Queen of the Monsters. Wow, wow. There of the good ones from Godzilla, there were a couple cards that I was like, oh yeah, this card is really good. But there were most of them that I was like, yeah, this is really good. I did not realize how good it is. I in my top 4 game, I went Battle Aura Release, Queen of the Monsters, Queen of the Monsters, Queen of the Monsters. And that will on turn 2. And that just kills people, man. Like it's crazy. Or I think I went Hunter's Ally built Frog and then went 4 high 10, 4 high 10, 4 high 10. And like yeah, that'll kill people. This you can ignore the top blitz and this card is still broken. Every once in a while when you're like I see that you maybe have a jury and I want to spend a momentum to draw a card for some reason and build in my Chinatown from my discard pile, like what is this card is insane. It's Rage for Zeeks. This card is ridiculous. It's a one low block. Oh man. I could gush about this card for like an hour. I would play 4 if you can get them. I know they are a little hard to obtain right now. Crushing Impact. This is one of the cards I was on 0 and I went to 1 because I saw somebody play it as like an 11 low for 6 and then they dumped all their power tokens and I'm like, wow, that's really good. That's pretty much just like what Channel Energy wants to be. And I played 1 for a while and I'm like, you know what? It is just like really good. And I went up to 2. Not ranged or Titan, which whatever, but the effect to ready something, kind of just making it another quote unquote 4 diff in your deck. You can really do some crazy strings turn 2 if you get the right draw between this and Queen of the Monsters and Destructive Heat Ray. But just the turn 2 where you go like play a Heat Ray from your hand, build, play a Heat Ray from your discard pile, and then turn 3 you end up with like 9 power tokens or even like 7 power tokens by the time you play this. And it's you go like move. This is an 11 low for 20. What after you've already played 2 moves and it readied something. Like what this it's not like oh yeah I want to play 4 copies, but it is crazy. Another one of these cute one-ups to form out of your discard pile. It's just a big throw. Sometimes you're playing against these blocking decks and you go like move, and they block them all. So you can just go like build, Growing Grass from my discard pile, spend all my power tokens. This is like a 3 low for 23, and you're only at 10 health, I would not want the second copy. I think it's like if you're not using it for that purpose, it's worse than a good number of cards, but for that purpose, it is probably like the best one. I maybe Crushing Impact is probably just better, but in the face of a reset that you couldn't flip or whatever, this is better because it doesn't like speed hate and stuff. It dodges that because it's just a big throw. 4 copies of the broken one. This was maybe I don't know. I want to say this was the only card that I was like accurately insanely high on during previews, but I don't even think that's true. It power tokens are so much better than just giving your move 2 damage, like giving this move 2 damage. It after it deals you ready something, and the main way that I played this card was just here's a 5 low 3 that flips something. Can I untap? Awesome. It's a ranged move. It's a 2 low block. Not quite Queen of the Monsters territory, but read this card. Um, God, there's nothing to say. It is just broken. It is a card that I am like not confident will get its full 3 years. Which there's a good number of those in Godzilla, which makes me think they will all get a full 3 years, which is simultaneously scary and exciting. Um, and then I played this as a one of. Notably, the four check mattered. I did check a four one time, and it's instead of a three, and that came up. But the reason I wanted this card was like sometimes you just want to play something that lets you go super tall. You know, you're in this like kind of stalemate in this like in a maybe a mirror match where you're both kind of drawing cold and stuff like that. And you just play this, and it's huge, and you can protect it behind heat rays or Chinatowns and stuff. Um, in practice, the best part about this card was a one mid block and a four check, which is not great. I did end up in my second version. I did end up cutting it. Um, it's if you said you wanted to play the first copy, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. But I think it's just okay. Titanstone Knuckles is crazy. This is post rotation asset hate like doesn't exist. Um, so this is a low block, very awesome. It has deflect 3 for those gotcha games. It is committing for damage and stun 1 in your deck that's like trying to save all its damage so that like, there are going to be some games where it's like most of your moves aren't threatening because you're saving all your tokens. So in a longer game where you have extra foundations, free damage and stun 1 is awesome. The response to destroy assets and making them flip 1 in your deck that already flips a bunch of stuff, pretty good. It's just this is if you wanted to side this instead of main it, I would be like I would be hesitant to do so, but I would understand. This is like moment of normalcy. I don't need to tell you that Airship is a broken card. It is a broken card. This is one of the good ones, and you should play it in your deck. I am maining for my two actions. I am maining 2 copies of Scalen's Hand, which is I was playing Juries for a good hot minute. I was playing Juries, and between Guardian Angel of Chinatown and the real problem with Jury, and this came up in a game where I played the Mirror and I played Growing Grass, and I knew he couldn't block because he had like 3 cards in his card pool and he had like no ready foundations, so I knew he couldn't block it. So I was like, this is for 12 damage, and he had 12 health. He's like, well, I guess I Jury. And so then I just used my power tokens and made it 12 damage again. Like Jury is so bad in power tokens, and it's like it being a hand trap is nice, but compare that to Scanlan's Hand, where you play it into certain matchups and you win the game instantly. My round 3, I played against Chris Miner, who was playing Jacob Johnson, and both games were just me going, here's a move. Like turn 2, I played like 2 moves, and he partials one of them or whatever, and I get a momentum. And then the next turn, I go, form Scanlan's Hand, tap your character. Here's like 4 moves and you die. And any deck that's using their character as their main defensive plan, like Kiryu comes to mind, Jacob Johnson, and I'm sure there's more. Uh, but those are the 2 that I think of off the top of my head. Uh, this card is gonna go crazy on. It also is just more targeted interaction. If you don't, you can just not spend a momentum. Like if you're playing it's like a Rodan or something, tap down their like I don't know their Bachelor arrives or their incubating or anything, and then it gets blocked. It leaves Prague, and your next move gets 3 damage. Using it on block also came up in a couple games. It's just the games where it's not good, it's pretty bad, obviously, but it's never gonna be dead. But it is the games it wins you, it will feel like the most broken card in the game. I'm also playing a Cami, a singular Cami, because we flip enough stuff, but 2 speed and flip something is pretty good. I don't really have much else to say about it. It was nice to have. I think I would keep it in, But if you said I don't want this because I want to slim down or play something else, that's fair. I would definitely be playing 2 copies of Genghis Frog. 3 damage on all your moves all the time, always is crazy, and you build it in going second turn one, or you build it in off of Hunter's Ally. It's just one of the good ones. You should play it in your deck. So onto the sideboard. Let's start with the cards that are good. The one Wraithlight in the sideboard, you might be like, well, maybe you could just main this, and that's true. You could main it, but I think there's plenty of matchups where it just doesn't really matter. Like into pretty much any 6 hand size aggro matchup, it's like regardless of whether you have this card or not, they're blocking one move, maybe two, and then they're not blocking anymore. This really is like only like a combo with growing grass past that point. It's okay. I mostly have it in the sideboard for like if I'm playing into a Rodin or like I brought it in against the JJ matchup. Just decks that want to block a lot. And then 3 copies of Activate the Coordinate. I didn't play against any backup decks. I believe there was one at the event, but I did not play against it. But if you do, yeah, you get to play this every turn from your discard pile and blow up all their Jaegerists. That's pretty good. I think it's hard. You'd be hard pressed to find something better to slot into your sideboard than 3 copies of this because this will just raw win you games against certain decks. Onto the bad ones. This should have just been Armorclad Faith. I put this in my deck. Because I was like, there's a person, Richard, on my team who actually top baited this event with Hedora, and I was like, man, these throw decks are like just a little scary. I want some more throw hate. And I forgot that Armorclad Faith existed. Ignore the part where it's in my main board. I forgot that Armorclad Faith existed, and I had the cool promo Willow Steels, and I was like, oh, perfect. These fit right in. And then I was told there would be a lot of debuild decks, so I put 3 copies of Weapon Clash in my sideboard. And there's a bit going on in David Gord, but it I brought it in. I did play against a Reiner 1, and I did bring it in game 2, and it did come up, and it was crazy. I brought it in matchups where Scanlan's hand was not really useful, and I if I didn't have this in my sideboard and I instead just kept the Scanlan's hands in, I would have felt fine. Don't put this card in your sideboard. Put it in your main board or don't run it. Uh, so that's the deck. Next up, I will talk about my rounds if I can remember them. Round 1, I played against one of my teammates, Kylie, who was playing Gigan. I won that 2-0. Kind of just like a 6 hand size aggro matchup, but I had a little more consistency and a little more speed. Speed in terms of like, doing stuff faster, not throwing faster moves. And it was a pretty solid one. Round 2, I played the mirror against, I believe his name was Josh, who also made top 8. I played against him in top 8. So round 2, I played against him, and we're playing game 1, and we get to like turn his. I think I went first, maybe, and we went to his turn 3, and he goes play a move, and I block it, I think, and then he goes rock hard witch on a 3, and I'm like, fire symbol Titan of Terror. Now that's interesting. And I start looking around his stage, and I'm like, well, hold on a second. He's got Earth symbol cards, and I call a judge over, and Mr. Paul Casagrande, excellent judge, comes over, and it's like, well, that's not legal. UGN told him it was legal, but it is not legal, and so he was issued a game loss, which we kind of talked about it after the match. We were like, I think I would have won that game anyways, but he was issued a game loss, and he replaced the cards, and we continued our match, and that I ended up winning that match 2-1. That was one of the 2 games I lost all day. Just kind of I think I did lose the die roll. Something's telling me I lost a die roll. I feel like I didn't win very many die rolls. Just off the top of my head, but there was no, because now I'm confusing it with the top 8 match. It was just I won that match 2-1. I don't really remember much else about it other than the fiasco game 1. Round 3, I played against. Give me a second. It'll come to me. Oh, what did I play against? Round 3. Oh man. I'm gonna pause until I think of it. I had to go pull up the event page, but I remember I played against Chris Minor. I played against JJ. I think I may have said earlier in this video I played against Chris Minor on JJ round 3, and that's very embarrassing that I forgot that. Um, so yeah, and that was just like I said, 2 games in a row. Scalen's hand, tap your character, bunch of moves. It was I that deck. I have been messing with JJ just independently, and I've been yapping with him a little bit about it. God, that deck is so fucking cool, man. JJ really cooked with that character. Round 4 was when I played against Reiner 1. In game 1, he was playing. He wasn't like super. He was super all in on the debuild stuff in his foundations, but not so much in his attacks. He was playing a good number of like throws and stuff for his attacks, which I didn't really understand. But anyways, so we go to his like turn 3, and he goes like he was playing the 5 diff, the 1 mid 8 throw that like deadlock blitzes for more damage, from AOT1 I think, and he played that throw, and I blocked it, went down to like 15 health. And then he goes, play a foundation on a 4, check a cape of no return. And I'm like, well, hold on now, because I know you're on the death symbol. So called a judge over, and my opponent had once again, my opponent had registered an illegal deck, and UGN had not told them this. So that was another game I really thought I was just in a solid position. And I could see myself losing that game, but I thought I was very solidly set up to kill him the next turn. Um, and so, anyways, that happens. Game 2, I did. Game 2 was a little spooky, but I did win. Uh, just sometimes you get knocked pretty low on your foundation count when it's like I checked a couple threes when I was building out, and then I couldn't really keep a bunch of stuff ready, and he went like, I want to say he went Earthbreaker Fatal Cleave, but I also don't think he was playing Earthbreaker. But he played like 2 moves that blew up my board and like big fault one of my ready foundations, so I couldn't. So I used my weapon clash and built an extra foundation, and it did matter going into that next turn because I did kill him with that extra foundation, which was very funny to relay to the Let's Talk Discord after people were talking bad about my weapon clash sideboard. And so round 5, I was 4-0. I ID'd with the only other undefeated, Colby on Rodan. And round 6, I ID'd with, I believe his name was Cameron, on Anguirus. We cut to top 8. I played against Josh again on the Titan of Terror Mirror. I was second in Swiss, so I got to go first in every single one of my top cut games. Spoiler warning, I guess, because Colby lost in top 8, as the first in Swiss person. And that was just a quick 2-0 in the mirror. I think he left me on 1, or he had a line to leave me on 1, so instead he played a tension move 1 game to Yellow Roman cancel. But I looked down at my stage with my Guardian Angel of Chinatowns, and I was like, that is very funny. And then game 2, I think he just exploded turn 2 or something. My top 4 match was against Zach Richards on Chaos King of the Monsters. I've been talking good about Earth King of the Monsters, but Chaos is still very real. Jett Uppercut and Coronavirus Beam are very good ones because you can turn them on for free with City Rampage or your face. And a 5-low 6 that draws a card and gets 4 damage, and a 5-low 9 that seals something. It gives you a power token if you manage to untap on your next turn, or just gives you a power token if you don't have anything to seal. Those are good ones. Game 1, I think he may have stumbled a little bit on his turn 1 build, and I killed him turn 2. And game 2, I killed him turn 3 because he did not draw a very angry hand turn 2. And I was able to I was able to dodge the turn 2 board wipe just because he didn't build very much, and I got to build like 5. And then on his turn 3, he decided not to blow up the board. I think maybe he just didn't have a good hand to rebuild with. And I went down to like 11 health or something, and then just blew him out with Hunter's Ally and Frog, and then went like Queen of the Monsters, Queen of the Monsters, Queen of the Monsters. And that was pretty gross. My finals match, I played against Gavin Kale on Bridget. I ended up winning 2-1, got justice for him absolutely thrashing me in Louisville. It was a very good match where I won on turn 2, and then he won on turn 2, and I won on turn 2. It was a cool one. That Bridget deck is very scary and very cool. I might honestly respect it more than other people do. I think it is quite good. But all in all, this deck is broken. And if you're like, man, I want to play a deck that will do well at my LC, I would not, maybe not this exact build. I would obviously put in some games and see what you like and don't like, because this is a very toolboxy character, and you're able to play your cool pieces. Um, and I would see what you like. And yeah, so that's enough for this version of the deck. And I will say, I'm not 100% on these changes. I'm not like, oh yeah, this is what I want. We can start with the zeros in quotes. Right now, I'm at 3 copies of Dumbfounded. I kind of want to go back to Low Guard, or like some combination of Low Guard and Tough Skins. Um, I want to try out Dumbfounded again. I think I was playing it originally. I want to try it out again. But oh, did I not? What happened here with my sideboard? Why do I only have 9 cards? Huh. I don't know. Anyways, um, uh, this is other than that, it's pretty similar. The foundations, aside from the zeros change, is the same. It's mostly the attacks and the sideboard. I've gone up to 4 Queen of the Monsters and 3 Hunter's Allies. I cut the fully charged Blast and the Channel Energy. They were both cards that I thought underperformed. And I think these are just better. 4 Queen of the Monsters, after the stuff I did to people this weekend, feels absolutely mandatory. And 3 Hunter's Ally, if you were like, I don't think there's enough targets, I would say that's fair. But I think the upside of getting this, especially when you're going first and you don't get to free build Frog, is well worth it. And then in the sideboard, I cut the Weapon Clashes and the Will of Steels, and I'm playing 2 Armor Clads, a Guardian Angel, an Analytical Observation, a mystery card that I guess I need to figure out what the next card in my sideboard will be, and maybe just a Radiant Visage, I'm not sure. And I'm also playing the 3rd Zeeks that I'm planning to side in whenever I go second. It's not like I had too many games where I went second and didn't have something to build, but I think it makes sense to be very interested in like I would probably, in general, unless I was playing against like a DR deck or something that I know was on a bunch of juries and stuff, I would probably cut the sacrifice for the cause for the 3rd Zeeks going second in most matchups. Um, that's just my idea. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I guess I need to find a 10th sideboard card. Maybe it'll be a Weapon Clash just for the bit. Um, but that is all I got. I miraculously, this isn't even an hour long. I shoutouts. The final round store was awesome. It was a great experience to go and hang out at the final round store with the final round people. I had a great time. Shout out to Paul from CWC for letting me sleep on his couch the night before, and then we drove up to South Carolina. Shout out to Thomas from CWC for driving us from Jacksonville to South Carolina, and from South Carolina back to Jacksonville. What a trooper. Shout out to my good friend and testing partner Xavier for letting me borrow 2 Destructive Heat Rays and a Queen of the Monsters for this event. And I think that is all I got. Yeah. If you would like to talk about this deck or any deck, you can at me on Discord or DM me at Jett Jaguar. If you have won your LC and would like to do a video similar to this, where you yap about your deck for like an hour, please, I would love to do that. I would love to coordinate with you and get that. And you can also DM me on Discord at Jett Jaguar. Yeah, if you made it this far, thank you for listening to me talk. I know this is on the shorter end for Jett TCG videos, and my sincerest apologies for that. Yeah.